What's up everyone, TheGame2k2 here again for another movie review, and today I continue my review of the Halloween franchise with Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. After a good 6 years since Halloween 5, it was believed that the Halloween series would not continue, especially since Halloween 5 was the worst from a financial standpoint. However, towards the mid-90s, rumors began to circle like crazy that Halloween 6 was in the works. However, while that rumor would wind up being true, many of the rumors by fans pertaining to the story would end up being false. The story begins with Jamie Lloyd giving birth to a baby boy. Some weird ceremony begins when the baby is born, and then Michael shows up to hunt down Jamie, who is on the run with the baby. He finds Jamie and kills her. However, Jamie actually left the baby at a bus station. Michael then begins to hunt down the baby as well. The baby is found by Tommy Doyle, the character from the first Halloween. Dr. Loomis then finds out that Michael has returned home after he and his friend Dr. Terrence find Jamie's body. We then meet relatives of Laurie's parents, the Strodes, who are living in Michael's old house. It's your typical horror movie family. The father's a jerk and the rest are nice. The daughter, Kara, has a young son named Danny who is having weird nightmares about a man in a black trench coat and a black hat. This is actually a character that was introduced in Halloween 5. The son meets Tommy Doyle, and then Tommy meets Kara. He then tells the story on why Michael shows up on Halloween. All of the Strode family is killed besides Kara and her son. They stay at Tommy's house where they run into Wynn, who turns out to be a bad guy and takes the baby and her son. Loomis tries to stop Wynn, only to get knocked out cold. They put Kara into Smith Grove's hospital, but Tommy shows up to free her. Then Michael shows up for the baby and kills everyone that gets in his way. Tommy beats Michael to a bloody pulp and they escape, but Michael turns out to still be alive in the end. Don't worry, I've watched this movie all the way through and I'm still very lost. The story is not the least bit coherent. Halloween 5 wasn't exactly the most coherent either, but Halloween 6 takes it to another level. The whole guy in a black coat and hat makes no sense. What makes even less sense is them giving the reason on why Michael Myers shows up on Halloween. Apparently, he appears because he's been marked with a symbol called Thorn, an alignment of stars that appears on Halloween night every now and then. So when it appears, he appears. Wow, that's really stupid. Also, let's look at Michael's track record in these Halloween movies. At first, he hunted down a teenager. Then he hunted down a child. And now he's hunting down a baby. That's a very interesting list. The movie is also incredibly violent. That's one of the elements that keeps these sequels so distant from the first Halloween, is the violence. The original Halloween wasn't that violent and bloody. The sequels, on the other hand, are too violent and should have been a little bit toned down. If Halloween 6 is saved by anything, it is its style. I love the look of Halloween 6. It's dark, the directing is actually very unique. I love all the lightning effects and the shadows throughout the movie, and I even find the score to be kind of cool because it's got a catchy guitar in it. The acting goes back and forth. Donald Pleasence returns, and it was unfortunately his final on-screen role. He would pass away shortly after. Pleasence is just as good as the previous Halloweens, and is one of the actors that really saves the movie. Another great actor brought in was Mitchell Ryan as Dr. Terrence. While I didn't like the character too much, I liked Mitchell Ryan's performance. This was actually Paul Rudd's very first movie role as Tommy Doyle, and it shows because he wasn't nearly as good an actor as he is now. He's stiff and almost as robotic as Michael Myers is in the movie. I am not very familiar with Marion Hagen, who plays Kara Strode. While her performance isn't necessarily memorable, it is better than a few other female protagonists I've seen in horror movies. Then there's Devin Gardner as Danny, who is not a very convincing child actor. His performance is not that spectacular overall. However, one of the greatest shorter roles ever in horror films comes from Janice Nickram, who plays Miss Blankenship, and has one of the best horror speeches I've ever heard in my life. Last but not least is Michael Myers, who is played by George P. Wilbur, who actually played the role in Halloween 4. The character is still very robotic and is a little too one-dimensional. Don't get me wrong, Michael Myers is cool in all the Halloween movies, but I miss that human element of him that was in Halloween 1. Overall, Halloween 6 just doesn't make any sense. I love the style and the look of the movie, but the story is very poorly written. Well, everyone, that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.